Today we're going to have an in-depth review of the Nux Mighty 8, and we're first going to play a standard Fender Strat through it, and after we've done that we'll proceed to give it a test out with a humbucker, and that's from a standard Gibson Les Paul. Now first of all, let's introduce you to the Nux. Whenever you're looking for a new amp, look at what features it has to offer. For example, over here, starting on the top left-hand side, you can see gain, OD, distortion. That's a clean channel as well, by the way. Green is clean, orange is going to be overdrive, danger for distortion, red. Then your tone control, one-band tone control. You don't really need more if you're playing for a practice amplifier. Level is actually your volume output, and then it's got a nice modulation for chorus or flanger or phaser, or delay option. Bottom row, starting on the left hand side, a mic input, mic level. I'm not sure that's that relevant, but if you're busking and you want to have something that's going to sing along with, this is a nice feature, I guess. It is an 8-watt amplifier, so it can handle it. And it's also got a cool drum beat and a reverb as well, which we'll be testing it as we're going through. Now, we're going to go back to the Strat and we're going to test out the clean sound through the Nux. Now, when testing out a new amplifier, it's a good idea to test it on its clean sound first. See what your clean sound is. That's your source. And if you like where that goes, then obviously you're going to find that your overdrives and distortions and all your other effects are just going to behave so much better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play through some clear chords, starting with the Forbidden Song. I'm sure I'm going to get sued for that. But what I want you to hear over there is the clarity and how nice and warm the amplifier sounds. I guess a cell phone doesn't give it true justice, but trust me, sitting in front of this amplifier for such a small tiny speaker, it sounds really quite impressive. Now, just on the one band graphic we mentioned, I'm going to just strum the guitar randomly. That's presently on flat. I'm going to turn the tone down. And I hope you can hear the difference in the tone as I was turning the one band graphic tone control. Now, the nice thing with this over here, you want to test what your rhythm sounds like. You can hear all the chords, you can hear all the strings. The rhythm is very articulate. It's a very nice, tight, clean tone. Again, if this was mic'd up properly, you could probably confuse a few brains if you told them it was a big amp. You can hear with the clear sounds. Very, very nice clean sound. For those that like more sort of lead, and you're getting a very nice clean tone too. Now next up, we're going to start playing with the echo to try and see how sort of what a three-dimensional sound we can get from the guitar amplifier. Now I like flashing lights. It means something's happening. Now this over here where it says tap above, this controls the tempo of your echo. So if I tap it fast, 1, 2, 3, it's flashing fast. If I tap it slowly, 1, 2, 3, it slows down and matches whatever tempo I tap into it, which is a really cool function, especially when you're playing in a band, for example, playing with a backtrack or recording, and you want your echo to be in sync with the beat itself. We're now going to turn the delay on, so we're going to go to this over here, and we're going to plug the Strat back in, and let's see what it sounds like. Now I'm going to play a short little riff. And now if I switch that off, you can hear the difference. Same phrase. Dead dry, and put the delay back. So the delay, lots of fun to play with. Now we're going to sit and look at the other different functions as well. You got the idea with the echo. We mentioned a drum box. Let me show you where to find that. That drum volume that I'm pointing at now, if I start turning that, I can hear noise in the background, going louder. And if I hold down the flashing light while turning that, this is going to happen. So I get different drum beats as I go through it. So let's see how fun that is to play along if I plug the guitar in. 3 and 4 and So it's a very nice extra to have on an amplifier, especially if you want to practice scales and you don't want a metronome which just goes ding, tuck, tuck, tuck. It's always nice to have a drum box facility. So this is a very thoughtful extra feature that the Nux has. So far we've looked at a clean tone, we've looked at your delay. We're going to now test the reverb. Now, if not sure if you know what reverb is, but imagine you're standing sort of in your school hall and you clap your hands and you'll hear there's like a sort of sound, excuse the effects, after that. Now, this is first of all without reverb, it's completely dry. Nothing at all. And as I turn the reverbs to different settings, you can hear it's got a bit of an after delay, a bit of an after effect. Going through different settings here, it's quite subtle, this one. I don't think they've got the most pronounced reverb. Some amplifiers' reverbs are quite aggressive, but you can hear it's got a bit more depth to it now. I'm going to try and get it to the maximum, and you can hear it's got that sort of like 3D depth that you'd expect to hear if you were standing in a large empty room or empty hall. That's your reverb. Now, it's nice to have a bit of reverb. That could maybe be a little bit more reverb, but I'd still be very, very happy having to practice with this. So I'm going to leave the reverb on, and we're now going to have a look what the choruses sound like. Some nice major 7 chords. And let's put some chorus with that. So it gives a nice sort of chorusy, sort of almost not quite 12-string effect to it. I think we can get a little bit more chorus. And without the chorus, if I turn it off again, you can hear the difference. It's not over pronounced with this amplifier, so I don't know if you're getting the true effect of it. But it actually is. If you're sitting in front of the amplifier like I am, you would still be very, very impressed. So I'm going to switch over now. I'm going to do one last little 3-second jam with the Strat, and then we're going to switch over to the Les Paul, and we're going to see what that sounds like. One more time with the Strat. The next thing you're going to hear is a Les Paul playing pretty much the same, and you can hear and appreciate the difference in the tone of the pickups. Les Paul's plugged in. No effects on it, exactly the same as the amplifier was with the Stratocaster. Obviously louder because humbuckers do that. There are naturally higher gain pickups. But the quality that this amplifier is delivering for a high-powered pickup is actually really, really impressive. Now I'm going to switch the delay off so it's bone dry again, like we started with the Strat. Play the forbidden song on the Les Paul. Sounds pretty cool. Again, you can hear all the notes, all the quality, your funky chords. So the gain on the amplifier, the clarity and the clear sound, very, very, very impressive. I'm not going to run through all the effects again on it again in the drum box. You already know what it sounds like. We're now going to go through the overdrives, distortions. Now, as soon as I've got the Les Paul plugged in right now, we're going to stick with the Les Paul, and we're going to go through to the first overdrive setting. So presently we're on clean. We're going to hit the button, turns orange. There's the gain. I'm going to start it quite low, and we'll gradually turn it higher and higher and higher. And we can hear how the gain impacts your volume and your tone, and also how the effect kicks in as well with the Les Paul. Personal favorite Les Paul player of mine, Gary Moore. Cold day and hell. But listen to how nice and smooth the overdrive is here. With your chords. Nice good crunch, nice definite sort of definitive sound. Definitely sounds like it's a much bigger amplifier than we actually might think it is. So far I'm really loving this little piece of equipment, and it's thanks to Music Farrell and Fissy and the gang that we can actually try this amplifier out. They generously supplied it and said, what do you think? And yeah, it's a great amplifier. One more time. nice crunch to it. Now I'm just going to take the gain, which as you saw was about 9 o'clock. I'm going to take it to sort of 12. You can hear a hint of the sort of noise kicking through as the gain gets higher. Much more prominent. Maybe try back pickup, you can click across. Very, very cool sound to it. So a lot of nice tonal variety so far. You can take the gain even more. Obviously take the volume down to compensate for the gain, because the gain will increase your volume. If you put a bit of delay with that, you're going to get a very, very nice effect. Check this out. So the effects combined together correctly can give you some really cool, fancy sounds the whole way through. And if you want to take it very, very mellow and mild, in other words, take the gain almost off, we should get a very nice, almost BB Kingish sort of type of sound. So you can control the dynamics quite nice while playing. Sounding pretty cool. Now we're going to push the button one more time, and we're going to see that the orange is going to turn to, and red it is. First of all, the distortion with a very low gain. Crank the gain a bit higher. And you can hear the volume goes up with it, but also the intensity of the distortion is a lot more now as well. Nice bite to it. And if you take the gain all the way, you can get some pretty cool, nice Iron Maiden type styles. Then also, if you play around with the one brand EQ, listen to the different sound just with one tone control. So you get a nice dark sound with your tone control down. And as you take your tone control across, and obviously you can actually get quite a fuzzy reproduction as well if you take your tone control much more higher. Personally, not a fan of the fuzz. I would take my tone to sort of 12 o'clock flat, or just a little bit before flat to tighten a bit more up. Then maybe a little bit of a echo onto that as well, which could be quite sweet. And a bit of delay. A bit of reverb, sorry, and a bit of delay together. So you get. Sounds quite cool. But that's enough of the Les Paul. Let's see what the Strat sounds like through this machine. The Strat's plugged in again. You can hear immediately that single coil sound just got a uniqueness to itself. Now it might sound like I'm more passionate about single coils than humbuckers. It depends on the mood I'm in, I guess, really, and I think all good guitarists have probably got a combination of guitars with humbuckers and single coils, because both have got a unique place. So it's not that I favour one over the other. I'm just trying to sort of say, well, observe the differences. Now, as presently on the Overdrive, the gain is quite low. So you can hardly even hear the hint of the Overdrive, where with the Les Paul, it was quite distinct. The pickups are really pushing the gain part. So we're going to take the gain up a bit now for the Strat and see what it sounds like. You can hear it now starting to get a bit of Overdrive. Might want to take the volume down a bit to compensate for that. And the nice thing with this Overdrive is that you can still hear the quality of the string, the quality of the tone of the guitar. And that went for the Les Paul as well. You could still hear the humbucker, the same as you can hear the single coil tone pulling through, which is nice. It means that the Overdrive on the Nux doesn't overpower the clean tone. It doesn't sort of distract from it. It actually adds to it instead of distracting from it. So very nice quality to it. take it a bit more higher. And the gain will obviously give a nice sustain to it as well in the process. You can hear the notes are ringing really nicely. Now switch over to distortion. This is where the noise might kick in because single coils are known for giving a bit of hum, obviously because of the nature of the pickup. That's why the humbuckers get their name from. The double pickup in the humbucker is meant to cancel out the hum. Now here's your sound, much louder obviously on distortion again. So when you change, just make sure your presets are set up that you have a balanced volume when you switch channels. And it's got a nice bite to it. You take a bit now sort of, you can hear that same riff that I played on the Les Paul, but a very different sound to it, which is pretty cool. Let's take it a bit more. We play a bit more with the gain there for the distortion. Got a very different sound to the single coil, but again the amplifier does the guitar justice, and that's what I'm trying to sort of determine over here. In other words, does the amplifier bring out the quality of each guitar, of the uniqueness of each guitar? And I found when I played the Les Paul, it definitely sounded like a good quality instrument coming through the amplifier. So the original tonality, the original sound wasn't lost through the amplifier. The amplifier enhanced it and brought it through, which is quite cool. Now obviously the Strat's not going to get that super high gain, but it's working really nice. Moving to back pickup. Definitely thinner, which has got to be expected. And to finish off, we're going to just leave it on that same setting. I'm going to play through once now with the Stratocaster. And now for the Les Paul on exactly the same setting. So you can compare this one more time. And here comes the Les Paul. Les Paul's connected and you can immediately hear the different sound. Much more rounder, much more fuller, and that's because of the type of pickup, not the amplifier. This type of difference you're going to experience with any amplifier when you switch between a single coil and a humbucker. End of the day, on the Nux, to summarize, beautiful amp, got some very, very nice facilities to it. Would I recommend it? Yes, I would. It's a lovely amplifier to practice with. It's a nice one to jam with if you're playing at low volumes because it's an 8 watt. And it's loaded with features. So I hope you enjoyed the amplifier as much as I did and have an awesome day. Thank you. And again, firstly, thanks to Music Varelt. Appreciate it.